They are critiquers. I'll be your evaluator because I have more information about the effort and that kind of thing, and what the criteria and constraints that I gave you. But they're looking at it as independent observers, as entrepreneurs. Think as if these are the people that you're going to approach for a loan, and think of this as sort of like you're going to give information to maybe potential investors. And so they're going to ask some questions regarding the presentation, regarding some of your findings, maybe some of the things you hadn't gone into much detail about, perhaps, and that type of thing. So I'll go ahead and let you guys.
Okay, great. Comments, observations, questions. First of all, very interesting product. I like the concept. I was thrown at first on the concept of it when you talked about a backpack that can have the ability to heat and cool. Forgive me, but I thought you were talking about the contents of the backpack, not the wearer. Okay. You know, yeah. I'm a backpacker, so I've had that scenario before where you guys stated in your initial problems or what you did on research for the problem statement. Many people use it, and then I realized in your initial problem statement where you guys were focusing, and that's just as good of a problem, but I see a couple potential hitches in the giddy-up, so to speak. But I see in your problem statement where you state that backs perspire, I noticed that at that point you're focusing on the wearer more so than the actual function of the product. Having been a backpacker, I've done 100 miles on the Appalachian Trail, have my 50-miler from Boy Scouts and stuff, so I can speak with a little bit of authority on backpacks. One of the considerations, first of all, what are you going to use a backpack for? And I realize you guys are looking at it through day-to-day student use, carrying books and etc., things that you may be using that in the form of i.e. briefcase or a luggage container vessel of sort where you're just carrying things to and from, might not necessarily wear it for long periods of time versus someone that's outside in the environmental issues and they're wearing it to transport something for a longer period of time over longer distances, you know. So having used backpacks in that scenario where we've done day-long hikes, overnight hikes, bivouacs and such, weights a consideration, you know. And I was thinking of that when you talked about your power sources, when you start ganging up batteries and stuff.
That's normal.
That's weight, you know. And just simply hiking down from our back porch down the cliffs to the lake and back for a 2-hour venture, I could conceivably see where I might go look for something like this if it's on the market and advertised correctly, but I would think of it more as something that I could either keep my sandwich warm or my thermos cool or something, you know. That's why I was thinking contents, not wearer, because the main thing is to when I get to where I'm going, the first thing about a backpack, of course, is that you can be able to carry things hands-free. You know, that's the beauty of a backpack, is you don't have to physically carry bags or books or whatever, you know, depending upon the scenario. You want to get it to your destination, be able to take it out and use it for what you brought it for. If you're just simply carrying inanimate objects, that's one thing. But when I think heat, cool, I think perishables. I think something that I either want to have cold to get to my destination because of spoilage, or just comfort. I want the sandwich warm when I eat it when I get there. I don't want to eat a cold egg sandwich kind of thing. So, you know, if I'm thinking about the comfort of the wearer, I have to think about just the basic physics of a backpack. If my back's starting to sweat, I'm simply going to take it off for a while and stretch my back if I have that option. If I'm wearing it for long periods and don't have, you know, for i.e. a march, a hike or something, that would actually be a nice feature to be able to cool your back. But then again, I look at weight, and like you, Torley, mentioned, design considerations. You know, if you guys are going to go to prototype B, prototype C, I'm sure you'll do a little more in the form of integrating the PC cooler into the actual back portion of the back. You're going to be able to have it sewn in with a pocket that can be Velcroed or zippered for access for changing batteries. You're going to have it padded somewhat, but you'll still, as you noticed, you're going to have a couple of vented areas, so if someone's wearing a heavier outer layer of clothing, you noticed in your testing that some folks found that to be a factor. So, but I think main thing, first of all, you have to define more clearly what its intent is. Are you using it for wear comfort or content, you know, sustainability? I think I would work on that concept a little better, or define it more from the beginning that this is going to make it more comfortable to you to get your books there, versus this is going to get you there with your sandwich at the right temperature. You know, excuse me, let me turn that off a minute. Shut that off. That's a poor sign of a presenter. Okay.
Well, just kind of going with that.
Okay. Yeah, feedback.
I don't know if the heating pad did work on both sides. We were going to test that if we could get it installed in the backpack. If it did, however, heating products would not have been an issue, because there's a pocket inside the front. This, or inside the first pocket of this backpack, that you can actually store something in, and it won't take up any space.
I mean, I can understand it could be a simpler concept without external components. If you're thinking more of the contents, you can simply design a backpack with a foam-lined compartment, and it goes back to that old ethnic joke about the fella that was mystified over a cooler. It keeps the hot stuff hot and the cold stuff cold. How does it know? You know, we've all heard that joke. But i.e. that, you know, you can take care of the inner temperature of that compartment, maybe with a little bit of external manipulation, but if you're looking at the comfort of the wearer, that's a whole different concept that I came in here today with, and I find that to be really interesting.
I did too.
And you can still pursue that.
I thought it was the same way.
And,
my concern was the weight, because me as a girl, I don't want to carry a lot of weight on my back, and then when you're talking about all the batteries, I was going, wow, that's going to be heavy. But then again, they got those little teeny tiny batteries. I'm sure that guys can figure out how it would work, where you can pop in one of them little batteries or something where it's rechargeable.
The little NiCads and lithiums are getting stronger these days. Also, your material selection, you can start looking at, and I'm sure you guys have had experiences with, and here's one example, Under Armour. We've seen the logo on the shirts. Incredibly cool stuff. Unless you want it to be warm, then it's an incredibly warm stuff. It's the same fabric. How does it do that? You know what I mean? So there are some really neat fabric options that you guys could explore too, to help with the cool transition between fabrics and stuff too.
the one thing that this had crossed my mind about what you said with the ambient. See, that's what the air comes in from the core from the ambient. So if you would put this in this pocket, this inside pocket is not large enough, you would have to have points where straight air from the environment could get into it.
Right, right.
I like the idea that it would do the perspiration part, you know, as you're walking for a long period and you do perspire. But I still didn't get with the heat though, because if it's cold and you're wearing a backpack, you're going to have a coat on. So my thought was, don't need the heat.
That was another conclusion that we
to me that would be a
came
waste. But the cooler idea, I think, is an awesome idea, and I think you can integrate it into it. Like he said, if you have it sewn into a way that, you know, you don't have a lot of weight, and you just have these little air packet things that hit you. You know.
Well, having worn backpacks in the heat to the point where I have developed rashes on my back, I hear you loud and clear about that
an awesome idea.
user comfort system. I question your mechanics. Possibly instead of looking at something that's electronically charged, maybe a thermal device, something that could be I mean, and we've seen so many of these cool 6-pack shaped blue cooler toss things and stuff that maybe you can develop a gel pack line